As nations continue to embrace global digital revolution, it is only logical that Nigeria, as the biggest economy in Africa, continuously evolves sustainable models of governance in which citizens and industries can attain their potentials on the largest possible scale. The very raw material through which these sustainable models of governance are created is personal data.
Data is all about identity, who you are, where you live, and who are you online, either physically or offline. And data, in a way, may not be sensible if it is not processed. And that's why the issue of data protection comes in.
Under the trailblazing leadership of the pioneer, Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Ali Ibrahim Patami, the requisite platform for data utilization and protection was meticulously developed.
November 2019, we converged here at the International Conference Center where His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari launched and unveiled the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy for a Digital Nigeria. After unveiling and launching the document, which has 8 pillars, pillar number 1 is developmental regulation. The regulatory bodies under the ministry, NITDA, NCC, NIMSI, developed many new regulatory instruments, and particularly regulatory instruments to facilitate development. That is why our regulation in the sector is developmental regulation, not in any way to restrict or jeopardize development, but rather to facilitate it.
This platform is referred to as the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy. His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, launched the NDPB in November 2019. Amongst many trailblazers in the digital space, the launch of NDPB was the watershed for data governance as we know today. Of the 8 pillars under NDPB, developmental regulation is number 1. Under the developmental regulation pillar is the Nigeria Data Protection Regulation (NDPR). 2019 issued pursuant to National Information Technology Development Agency (NITDA Act 2007. NDPR is recognized in judicial authorities as a corollary of fundamental rights to privacy.
Your data, my data, wherever they are, is protected, is safeguarded, and is processed within the law in a manner that you feel secure, you feel safe, wherever your data is.
Enshrined in Section 37, Chapter 4, 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, CFRN. It is indeed a fundamental right that is also recognized in a plethora of multilateral treaties and Bill of Rights, such as the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1948, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights 1966, as well as the ECOWAS Supplementary Act on Personal Data Protection 2010. The objectives of the NDPR are as follows: safeguard the rights of natural persons to data privacy, foster safe conduct for transactions involving the exchange of personal data, prevent manipulation of personal data, and ensure that Nigerian businesses remain competitive in international trade through the safeguards afforded by a just and equitable legal regulatory framework on data protection.
You know, in Nigeria we have an emerging digital economy now under the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, being driven by Professor Isa Ali Ibrahim Patami, who is the Honorable Minister for Communications and Digital Economy. We recall that in 2019, November 2019, Mr. President designated the Ministry of Communications to Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, and one major document, which is like a roadmap for us, that is the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy, was launched, made up of 8 different pillars. The number 1 pillar there is that of developmental regulations. That is, how can you issue regulations that will lead to sustainable development, that will stimulate growth and development. And our own subsector, if you like, that is the data privacy and protection subsector of the digital economy in Nigeria falls squarely under that pillar 1 of developmental regulation. That is where you put in place regulations to stimulate growth and development. We are all aware that the issue of privacy and data protection is not a global thing. And the global digital economy, the foundation is digital identity. That is your names, your telephone numbers, your addresses, your email addresses, even your IP address, your sensitive information like your health information, religious affiliation, labor lineage, political opinion. All these are sensitive information which we put online on a daily basis. And there is every need for such information to be properly protected, to be safeguarded and processed within the laws in the nation and globally that can really guarantee trust and confidence in whatever you are doing online. We are talking of the confidentiality of your data. We are talking of the integrity of your data and your information. We are talking about its availability. And we are talking of the resilience of this data.
The successful implementation of the NDPR led to the creation of over 8,000 jobs and cumulative earning in the sector, which is in excess of 4 billion naira. What this tells us is that data protection has a great potential for jobs and wealth creation, which is in addition to safeguarding the right to data privacy and protection.
Within this sector, as at the end of 2021, we were able to create over 8,000 new jobs in this country. In addition to registering 103 data protection compliance officers in this country, in addition to filing an audit by institutions over 1,300. And at that time, the market value, the collective market value within the subsector was over 3 billion naira in this country. If you look at creation of 8,000 jobs in this country, is something that is very massive. In addition to, and these are direct jobs, not indirect. And that is why we are so much excited with the journey.
The evolution of data privacy and protection continued under the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy with the historic establishment of the Nigeria Data Protection Bureau, NDPB, on the 4th of February 2022, noting that the genius of our Constitution under Section 37 1999 CFRN specifically imposes an obligation of privacy protection. Thus, the privacy of citizens, their homes, correspondence, telephone conversations, and telegraphic communications is hereby guaranteed and protected.
What our mandate has, one, our mandate is to bring to life the NDPR, that is to see to full implementation of the Nigerian Data Protection Regulation. Also, to ensure that the data of Nigerians are not used in any malicious way that can lead to identity theft or using identity for what is not, what you are not supposed to use it for. And to ensure that whoever keeps your information, whoever keeps your data, that the data controllers and data processors, they owe you that duty of care to ensure that they put in place adequate technological measures, adequate organizational measures to ensure that such data is protected. We also to ensure that we have a principal law for data protection in Nigeria, and we have commenced work on that too. Then we are to create awareness in the area of data privacy and protection, to build capacity in a way that can lead to job and wealth creation for the country, and for us to be globally competitive in whatever we do, and to enhance global competition for our businesses. We are all aware that we are pushing for ease of doing business in Nigeria, and there is need for us to put in laws that whoever is willing to come and do business here, or who is willing to do business with us online, that confidence, that trust is there. That yes, when they do anything digital in Nigeria, they are protected. But the most comprehensive one for us, which is like a major turning point for us in Nigeria, is the Nigeria Data Protection Regulation, which was issued on the 25th of January 2019 as a subsidiary legislation to NIDA Act of 2007. Because the Act actually empowers NIDA to issue regulations, guidelines, which will be as powerful as the act itself. Now, when the regulation was issued, a committee was set up to ensure implementation under the DAP, which I chaired. We were able to get a lot of traction between where the regulation was issued and early this year. And due to these tractions and the global best practice, that when you have your regulation on law in place in the area of data protection and privacy, the next thing is to have your supervisory authority, which is the Data Protection Authority. And that is what is being done all over the world. And the minister made the recommendation to Mr. President, and this is the global best practice, that when you have your law, you should have a Data Protection Authority. And more importantly, with the traction that we get while implementing the NDPR under NIDA. And that was why on the 4th of February this year, Mr. President graciously approved the creation of the Nigeria Data Protection Bureau.
The creation of the Bureau is esteemed by all as one in a continuum of legal steps in the realization of the constitutional obligation. The establishment mandate of NDPB covers all the functions of an independent data protection authority, including, but not limited to, regulation of the processing of personal data to guarantee the rights, privacy, and freedom of Nigerians in the global digital economy, investigation of data privacy breaches, enforcement of data subject rights, data protection awareness and capacity building for data subjects, natural persons, and data controllers, processors in the public and private sectors, and cooperation with relevant local and international bodies for the purposes of advancing data privacy and protection. Also, the coordination of the passage of Nigeria Data Protection Bill.
The law, the principal law for data protection in Nigeria. It has 66 sections, and there are 12 major parts to it. One is about the objectives and applications of the law. Two is about the establishment of the Nigeria Data Protection Commission. This bureau will transition into that commission. Two is the appointment of the National Commissioner and other staff of the bureau. Four is financial provision for the bureau itself. Five is the principles and lawful basis for processing of personal data. Six is about the rights of a data subject. That is, as a data subject, what are your rights, what are your obligations. The seventh one is about data security. The eighth one is about cross-border transfer of data, which is really important that you know what is talking about. Then we have another part on enforcement. We have another one on fees and registrations. Then we have another one on legal proceedings. And the 12th one is miscellaneous. So these are the 12 different parts that the law will definitely address. And these 12 parts are divided into 66 different sections of the law, addressing one thing to another. It's really comprehensive. And one good thing about the law is that from independent observers, they have identified this law as the best in Africa as of today. It's still in its draft form. We went through a lot of scrutiny, and a lot of people made inputs. We managed the stakeholders, we engaged them fully through focus groups, workshops, and so many conferences now. For us to be program for us to be able to come this far. And we believe by the time it becomes a law, it's like a turning point in the area of data privacy and protection in Nigeria and the Nigerian digital economy. And everybody will know that there's a law and there's a supervisory authority to ensure proper implementation of that law in the country.
The Bureau is currently working with Nigerian Digital Identity for Development (ID4D) Project Office to actualize the passage of the Nigeria Data Protection Bill. In recognition of the task before the new Bureau, His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari GCFR approved the appointment of Dr. Vincent Olatunji as the Pioneer National Commissioner and Chief Executive Officer of the Bureau.
Between when we started and now, we have commenced massive awareness campaign to ensure that we take the message of data privacy and protection to every Nigerian For data subjects, we need to know their rights. The area of that the fact that your consent is needed when your data is being collected. The area of the fact that you have the right to rectify your information, your data, tell data controller or data processor. That's right of rectification. There is also the right to be informed that when your data is being collected, they need to inform about the purpose, where they're collecting it, how long will they store it, are they going to share with the third party or not. You also have the right to say, I don't want my data with you anymore. Data of right of religion, right to be forgotten. Also right of portability. All these are rights of data subject, which they need to know when the data is being collected. On the part of the data controllers and data processors too, we need to let them know their obligations to data subjects. That is what they need to do to ensure that your data is protected. We've created awareness in here, and we focused more on the public sector because there was a survey we did last year. So that the level of compliance in the private sector is higher than public sector. In fact, what we had was that in public sector it was just 4%. So between when we started and now, we visited over 50 MDAs to create awareness, to let them know why they need to put in place pressure to ensure data protection, data privacy. Also, we have remarked on data privacy and protection capacity building. One, for our staff, they say charity begins at home. We are bringing all our staff together to the same speed in terms of understanding what a data protection authority should be doing in Nigeria as a regulator, and for them to be knowledgeable in the area of data privacy and protection. We've done a lot of data protection and privacy training, we want to level of certification. And we also do the same thing for most of these MDAs that we have visited. For instance, we have trained officials of NTA, we have trained VON, we have trained Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, we have trained Federal Polytechnic, Nekede, we are working to train the Office of the Secretary to the Government and a lot of other organizations.
Prior to his appointment, Dr. Olatunji had served as the Director, E-Government and Regulations and Chairman NDPR Implementation Committee under NITDA. He comes in with a wealth of experience that spans over 30 years of meritorious public service. He is a PECB Certified Data Protection Officer, a Fellow of the Institute of Information Management, Certified Public-Private Partnership Specialist, among many other professional qualifications. The Bureau, within the last 1 year of its establishment, has recorded significant growth under various parameters, including but not limited to the following: rate of increment of the public sector integration into data privacy and protection framework, 100%. Rate of increment in the enrollment of DPOs from data controllers and processors across Nigeria, 600%. Rate of increment in the licensing of data protection compliance organizations, DPCOs, 50%. Similarly, revenue generation through the implementation of the NDPR has increased by over 60%.
In terms of international collaboration, we've done this a lot with NGOs, with international development partners, and so many others to ensure that Nigeria is now listed among those countries that you can respect when it comes to data protection and privacy. And we are glad that recently a report was released by PRIDA under the supervision of AU and EU, and all the 10 parameters they scored us very good marks. Some 100%, 97%, so many like that. So we thank God that we're able to achieve that. Now, a lot of Nigerians are now aware of the issue of data privacy and protection, and that we have a supervisory authority in charge of this in the country. The federal government has now issued a circular that all ministries, departments, and agencies must comply with the provisions of the Nigerian Data Protection Regulation. And to a large extent, that has been assisted us. We receive a lot of audit filing from MDAs. Two, we actually started a program which is Data Protection Adequacy Program in Nigeria. That is, all data controllers and data processors should register with us. So we will have a database of major data controllers and data processors in Nigeria. We're able to monitor what they do in the area of protecting identity. Then three, the Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation too issued a guideline just about 3 weeks after that of AGM that all MDAs must comply with the provisions of the NDPR. Thirdly, the National Council on Communication and Digital Economy that just ended in Ibadan, also part of the resolution was that ministries, development agencies, as well as states, should comply with the provisions of the NDPR. So these are major successes that we have achieved in the public sector through the awareness that we have created. And to a large extent, the level of audit filing from the public sector has really increased as compared to what we had before, but we keep getting requests every day. So the level of awareness has really increased in the public sector. And we look at the job creation part of it too, which is really important. For instance, the private part of what we have in the law is that any major data processor or controller must have their DPOs, that is data protection officers. And most of these people, they have 1, 2, 3 DPOs. So that's the type of job we are creating. In fact, the last count we have done over 8,000 jobs created within this. Whereas we keep saying there are no jobs. And looking at this sector too, part of what has been predicted is that by year 2030, there will be a deficit of about 85 million jobs. Because people don't have the requisite skill to occupy positions that will be available because of emerging technologies. This is one of them. Now we have over 500,000 major data processors and controllers in Nigeria. Those who are experts, who are skilled in data processing and position, they are not up to 10,000. Even a gap of about 499,000 jobs waiting. That through all this process we are putting in place, these jobs are available for people to take up, either in the public sector or in the private sector. So this will lead to wealth creation, improved standard of living, and I said trust, which is really key.
The foregoing milestones are taking place at a time when the digital economy under Professor Isa Ali Ibrahim Patami is breaking records in its contribution to Nigeria's GDP. The ICT sector, for instance, contributed 18.44% to the total real GDP in Q2 of 2022, outperforming virtually all other sectors. The establishment of the Bureau, under the visionary leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, has strengthened the bulwark of fundamental rights and freedoms of Nigerian citizens in the data economy ecosystem and has, to all intents and purposes, earned Nigeria a pride of place in the arena of international data governance and human capital development.
Still on this journey so far, it's been daunting, but we really need to appreciate some people that really supported us through one way or the other to bring all this far. First, we'd like to thank Mr. President for graciously approving the establishment of the Nigeria Data Protection Bureau. I would like to thank the Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, our Digital Minister, and the leader of the digital economy sector in Nigeria, Professor Isa Ali Ibrahim Pantami, and to the Director General and the entire member of NIDA. We also thank you for your support in bringing all this far. Also to the Chairman and the EVC of the NCT and the entire management for the support they bring to us. And also to the DG of NIMSI and the entire management for all the ways they've supported us. We also like to thank the Nigeria ID4D office, sponsored by World Bank, European Investment Bank, and French Development Agency for all their support in bringing all this far. Without these pillars, we wouldn't have been able to come this far within 1 year. And to all Nigerians, all MDs that visited, those in the private sector, the DPCOs who are our support system in terms of rendering compliance as a service to organizations, and all the staff of the Bureau who have sacrificed their time, their energy, their brains, working day and night to ensure that we get to this far. Also the media really supported us too by actually creating awareness about our programs. And a lot of organizations that have supported us in terms of capacity building, in terms of assisting us through one thing or the other. Really thank you all for bringing us this far. We believe by the time we are coming next year, we'll be bigger and better than this. And the message of data privacy and protection in Nigeria will be better than this and will be more heard in all the local governments and communities in the country. Thank you very much and God bless.